Okay, we should be back up and running here, so inexplicably, looks like Al has had a problem here, had to drop out. Okay, uh-huh. So, one more second then. Yeah, it looks like for whatever reason Al has dropped out here and won't be able to run the broadcast, so I'll go ahead and take a crack at it here and bring you what pictures I can. Assuming that they don't flip over to qualifying while I'm away after my game has crashed. So, not as much polish for me as I don't know how to navigate the control shortcuts. But I'll try to get this in as best we can anyway. And for some reason when I broadcast, I don't get my own pictures coming through, so if things look terribly bad on the video end, please let me know on the Twitch chat. Now, don't know what the problem here was for Al, but he had to make a quick escape. And I'm not sure what's going on with this session, but I assume that after the server timing still has not been reset, or in any event, they haven't flipped over to qualifying yet, I should say. And again, if anybody is out there, please let me know when you get a shot if the pictures are up and running, because, like I say, I won't be able to tell. So yeah, I guess we will wait to flip over to a qualifying period here. I believe the timing was supposed to be for a 45-minute open qualifying session, a timed session. That session will be at night if it ever does kick off and get going. And I assume that we will flip over to that session here momentarily as soon as all the other drivers get into the server. But we'll see on that. Might need an extra second here myself. Hold on. Try to reset Twitch here, but for some reason I have trouble broadcasting pictures when I am broadcasting myself. Okay, so here we go. Next session has flipped over. So our intention here tonight is to try to bring you some qualifying action here from our last event at Spa for this season 25 championship, excuse me. So that's what we're going to try and do here. We had a quick changeover. Al was on the main broadcast there, of course, and for whatever reason was not able to continue with that broadcast, so I'll try to bring you whatever pictures that I can. Quality won't be quite as good for you, but in any event, we'll get you what pictures that we can and try to get you all the action live and as it happens here on NAGP TV. So, this is our penultimate round, I guess you could say, of our Season 25 Championship. Those points are awfully close. Now, we're going to have 45 minutes worth of open qualifying session here for these drivers tonight. And we'll bring you some of those point standings as they are at the moment and the implications going forward here, not only for this race, but for next week's future race. And quickly try to get you filled in a little bit about how the process is going to run here tonight. So, whoa, Ian has a bit of a problem there with some traffic in front. So we're going to run 45 minutes of timed qualifying session here. These drivers are all going to get the opportunity to post their best qualifying lap. Low race fuel, of course, low fuel on the cars. They'll run the sticky tires and put in the very best laps that they absolutely can. Now, the best 2 qualifiers here in this session are going to lock in their starting spots for next week's feature race. So this is the big deal for these guys here tonight, to come up in this qualifying period 1 and 2, because they are going to start in those positions in next week's feature race. Now, everybody will get a chance to set a time, but for anybody who's not in that top 2, they're going to have to race their way into that event for next week's feature race. This is the qualifying race. Next week is the feature race. So, there you go. These guys will run that 45-minute qualifying session, and there will be a 1.5 hour qualifying race to follow, as Curtis Chandler also has a little bit of problems. And that qualifying race after this session here will determine that final spot. So again, it's the top 2 drivers in this session that we're going to be focusing the most of our attention on. As you can see, the qualifying is in the dark, and we've seen a few run-ins here on these outlaps as drivers prepare to begin this session. Not even yet turning a timed lap and already having some contact out there, running close to each other. Plenty of time, so you'd think that they would give each other a little bit more room out there to go after their very best lap. But the darkness can cause a little bit of havoc, as we've seen here many times in the past. This is a very regular event here we run at NAGP in this season, in this GT2 championship. All these drivers should be prepared for the darkness, but it never fails to screw a couple people up here, these dark qualifying sessions. So we're on board now with Dan Wilkerson in the Viper. Just because we want to take a look at the Viper and ride on board Dan Wilkerson for a little while. And he will begin his hot lap in that Viper. So interesting. Came onto the broadcast momentarily before Al had to leave us, and he had mentioned he saw a 17.3 by Alex White. Now, I believe that is the fastest lap that I have seen around this place in the GT2 class before. I can't be 100% for sure on that, but I think that may be the case. But it was Jonathan Cuppett in that practice period actually eclipsing that Alex White time by mere 1/100th of a second. And that was very interesting to see. Of course, that was in the daylight, so good visibility for those drivers to turn a hot lap. Whole different deal here at night, as Dan Wilkerson actually does run through the first sector, but well, there's a split time right there. So 51.5 there coming through that first sector. Doesn't mean too much at the moment, as nobody has actually completed a timed lap yet, but those times are going to be rolling in momentarily. So here in the second sector now, coming through this very difficult chicane, Fagnes chicane. You'll have to excuse my pronunciation, into Stavelo. Extremely tricky part of the track here to get right, and so important when it comes to overall lap times. Coming down through the back area of the course, approaching Blanchimont. Most of these GT2 drivers, and nearly all of them, will have to crack the throttle just a bit entering Blanchimont into the unreconfigured bus stop chicane. This, of course, an older version of the Spa, and it looks like that Ferrari in front will be holding up Dan Wilkerson just a little bit here. So he will not get in his best lap time. I think he is going to have to give it another go, but we'll stay on board and see what kind of time he comes up with. So we're going to be looking for laps here in the 18s, 17s, and who knows, perhaps we will see a lap in the high 16s, yet to be determined, as Dan Wilkerson will cross the line, and you could see he turned in something like a 21 something or other. So Ryan Schleif now in the 17s. I have to check on those pole times we've seen in the past, because I think I may have been mistaken on our very best lap times around here. Ordinarily, we'd have a little bit of backup, having Al on the broadcast as well, and we could split duties on that stuff a little bit, but And we'll be hampered a little bit here bringing you the single broadcast pictures. Always a difficulty here as a single camera operator. Whoa, as Ryan Schleif, our provisional pole leader, almost gets it wrong coming off Stavilo there. Very easy to do, rather. Want to carry a lot of speed through there as they begin the long blast down to Blanchimont. Looks like the Corvette handles it very well, but he does take it wide there, and he is going to end up in the wall. So, just beginning now our 45-minute qualifying session with our qualifying race to follow. That will be a 1/2 sprint race, which will determine the final order of our grid places for next week's feature event. So, important stuff on the line here. Aaron Parsons now, no stranger to Spa and actually winning around here as well. And he is going to scrub this lap off and give it another go, as he had some pretty bulky lap traffic out in front. So Alex White now relegated to the 3rd position provisionally, and he is going to continue his run in that Porsche. Again, setting a 17.3 himself in that practice period, now only on a 117.8 at the moment. So Alex White on the outside looking in. Did not get through La Source particularly well that time, but the lap time itself may be good. And coming to the line now, he flashes through to a 17 flat. So I think we are going to see some 16s in this period. Something kind of tells me that's a real possibility. And I tell you, 17 flat, very good time here in these dark conditions. Always takes drivers a couple laps to get sorted on that. And it looks to me like so far so good. Juan Monroy now coming through Blanchimont. And Juan Monroy sliding a bit wide as well. Now that will cost you a little bit of time. Very little grip on the outside of the exit there to Blanchimont. We did lose somebody here through a disconnect. Again, for our Twitch viewers, Al Merriman, for a mysterious reason, has suddenly had to depart the broadcast. So your broadcast pictures tonight might not be quite up to par with what you would ordinarily expect. And there'll be only one of us in the booth here tonight, so I will do my best to bring you all the pictures and all the action. And Juan Monroy flashed through, I believe that was in the high 18s. Where the heck is he? Oh, there he is, 18.7. So indeed, into the high 18s. Now David Poole should be showing some pretty good pace as well. We saw that Alex White time at a 17 flat. David Poole in similar equipment now, languishing just a little bit there, about 1 second off and on an out lap at the moment. So quickly 10 minutes have rushed by in this qualifying session. So as always, each and every lap very critical around here. Certainly you want to get one banked in. And you can relax a little bit as you push for a little bit of extra speed deeper into the stint, but if you don't get that first one in, one that's solid enough to put you somewhere where you want to be, the pressure does continue to mount as the minutes click away here on this very long track. It does take, remember, some 5 minutes to get around this entire track to set one timed lap. So each and every one does count. As we watch Mike Trussler. Mike Trussler off to a very good start there at Anderstorp last week, but that race did come undone for Mike in the end, unfortunately. So looking for a little bit of redemption perhaps tonight is Mike Trussler. Sorry about that. Had to take a short break. Well, Mike Trussler, of course, teamed up with Alex White. And we'll see if the teammate can match White's time, but so far, not so much. About 2.2 seconds off through that second split, and that is definitely not going to get it done. Now, the most veteran of performers around this Spa circuit, Marty Uren, has yet to fail outside of the top 10 in our feature race here in all of the seasons Marty has put in. So very skilled around this Spa circuit. Coming up to the ever-important Stavilo now. And it should be noted as well, Marty has struggled a bit in that Ferrari F458 as we'd cataloged throughout the season, but that car a pretty good performer here, as David Poole proved last season, taking that feature race by a comfortable margin last year in the very same equipment. So Marty Uren should be in good shape for a good finish, but as you can see, well and truly off the pace here in this qualifying session. And well, I tell you, these guys running around here expecting to be able to run, put themselves in a good placement for the qualifying race with a 2-minute 18 lap is not going to do it. They're going to have to reach for a little bit extra here tonight, I think, if they want to really start at the sharp end of this grid. So let's get you a sense real quickly of where everybody's running. Alex White is provisionally on that pole. He is on a timed lap at the moment, looking to improve. Ryan Schleif is in that second spot, so looking pretty good here in the Z06, but looks like he's given himself some room, but in the meantime has possibly held up Juan Monroy a little bit there. Aaron Parsons is currently third provisionally. David Poole, we saw him. He still resides in fourth provisionally. Jaime Moore looking pretty sharp at the moment in fifth. So that time has to be somewhere in the 2-minute 18 range as well for Jaime Moore. Juan Monroy, we saw him in the Audi, and he is currently sixth. Curtis Chandler looking very strong in the Ginetta. So seventh place currently for Curtis Chandler. Rodrigo Triana looking pretty racy himself in the Audi. Mike Trusser still in the 9th spot, so not too much improvement here within the top 10 yet, with the exception perhaps of Curtis Chandler jumping up. Marty Uren has been bumped to the 10th position. Ian Jolicoeur, Marty's teammate, in 11th. Connor Swain also putting in some very good results this year. Actually was running well and truly inside the top 5 last week at Anderstorp. He also came to some bad ends in that race, and quite a few good results for Connor here recently. We'll stay on board with him. Whoa, maybe we won't, as he has a massive slide coming through the bus stop. So though he may improve, it's certainly not going to be a time which will put him right up toward the front. Felipe Triana is currently in 13th. Chris Moses running around in 14th, and that's a rather strange place, really, for Chris Moses to be sitting at the moment there in 14th. So he has not gotten a lap in just yet. And just now starting another timed lap, it looks like. So 15 minutes gone, and already Chris Moses on the outside looking in. Gregory Myers is very skilled, the most veteran of veterans around this spa track as well. And ordinarily puts in some pretty good qualifying efforts around here, it has to be said. Gregory Myers not known for his qualifying skill, but generally does pretty well here at Spa. Jonathan Cuppett, now we saw him turn in that fantastic time in practice, but here languishing a little bit, now relegated back to the 17th position provisionally. So a little bit of work to do for Jonathan Cuppett. Aaron Parsons' teammate John Houston, part of our championship mix here in our team classification going forward in 19th, and that is not going to satisfy John Houston, who has started to put in some very nice qualifying results here, something he has not been known for in the past, but coming on pretty strong in that department recently. So Kevin Miller back in the Bentley in 20th at the moment, and Mike Monahan in the Panos. Now that car may struggle a bit around here in the second sector, but it should have its strengths, particularly coming up Eau Rouge and down the Kemmel Straight. However, not looking too good there in the second sector, as mentioned. Dan Wilkerson now in the 23rd position, so we rode on board with him there to start, but hasn't quite found the rhythm yet. Mike Monahan's teammate Esteban Palacio now running 24th. Sam Rolfe is in 25th. And Sam certainly knows his way around this place as well. Many seasons here at NAGP for Sam Rolfe. Has posted some nice finishes in the past, and we'll see how he does around Spa here tonight. You wouldn't figure he would be a threat for one of our top 2 positions, but certainly has the opportunity to move forward in that qualifying race. So Jared Keene in the 26th position. Now Jared Keene has been coming on pretty strong here the last half of this season, but not looking as racy as he would like just yet in this session. So 26 currently for Jared Keene. Iggy Shiordia there in 27th in the Lamborghini, and that car should be a pretty good performer here as well, but Iggy has not been around so long to have a lot of practice here in our night qualifying session at Spa. He may have taken part last season, but if he did, I can't quite remember. That would be his only other contest, as he is a pretty recent addition to NAGP League Racing. Chuck Carter there in 28th, another solid veteran. running the Ford Mustang, so that car probably not the best performer around this place, but should have pretty good race pace over the long haul. And Lou Mascarelli is in 30th now. I don't think Lou has a penalty which would have kept him out of this qualifying session, but not 100%. So let's take a look at your timing and scoring. Get you caught up where everybody is at the moment. So it is indeed now into the 16s for Alex White. A 16.7 for Alex White. Ryan Schleif, you can see there in second. Aaron Parsons in third. And Andres Prieto now has popped up into the mid-17s as well in one of the sister Vipers. So very nice run for Andres Prieto. And quickly, let's check in on that success ballast, because I believe Andres Prieto is carrying just a little bit of success ballast here, 10 kilos or 22 pounds, whichever comes first. David Poole also there in that 5th position, carrying some 30 kilograms of success ballast. And Chris Moses, perhaps that's why he's off the pace a bit. He's lugging around a pretty decent boat anchor in the boot of that BMW, so a good 50 kilograms of weight for Chris Moses. So Andre's getting balked just a little bit by that lap traffic in front. We'll stay on board and check out his first sector time, which I don't think will be quite up to scratch. Oh, only a couple tenths off, so really not too bad. And we should check in real quickly with those sector times. 49.8. Well, that certainly puts him relatively within range. Problem is for Andres here is this Viper's not going to be the stronger performer here relative to the rest of the field in the second sector. So we should expect to see the second sector time slip off just a little bit. However, this car will be good in the third sector. And I think it will be up to him to claw whatever time back he possibly can. But then again, being a couple, as he pushes very hard there, as you can see coming off, that certainly will not help out his time. Coming through the tricky Blanchimont, Andre certainly will not be completely flat in this Viper. And some 6/10 off of the pole pace for Andres Prieto through that second sector. Taking a look through the field here, just looking for any surprises, news and notes. Nothing standing out too remarkably. Perhaps Marty Wren languishing a little bit as well, it has to be said, in that 458. Mentioned Marty and his remarkable track record around here. It has been a pretty amazing string of finishes. Now I believe it's up to 11 or 12 straight finishes in that feature event there, inside the top 10. To finish that event, so it is a remarkable run, and I know more than anybody would like to see that streak continue. So Marty Wren coming up to the line now, looking for really more than a couple seconds here. Over what he's got now, and he is going to advance his position only slightly, so picking up just a couple tenths for Marty Wren. And some of these drivers really kind of struggling a little bit. Drivers we might ordinarily see up the grid a little further than they currently are. Now, I did see somebody jump up. It looks like Jaime Moore. So Andres Prieto's teammate currently has outqualified Andres, and that's some interesting news there. Andres Prieto only carrying 10 kilograms here of ballast, as we just saw. So pretty equal, those two cars, and for Jaime Moore to come away with a better time than Andres Prieto is quite a solid lap, it has to be said. Also kind of makes me wonder that Andres Prieto perhaps has a bit more in the bank. So again, this is a NAGP TV's coverage here of round 25. This is our penultimate event. We will be running this 45-minute timed qualifying session and then have our qualifying race to follow, which will set up... Whoa, Andres Prieto, okay. That's not going to work. We're going to finish off this 45-minute qualifying event and have our qualifying race to follow. That will be a half-hour race, and those typically are absolute barn burners, those events. So a lot of fun, a lot of action. Hope you can join us for that. But main broadcaster Al Merriman, unfortunately, will not be able to broadcast those pictures here tonight, so we're going to suffer a little bit of quality hit. And frankly, I have no pictures at all to look at on my broadcast because it's not displaying, so if you get the opportunity, you might want to chime in there on the Twitch chat if you happen to be tuning in. And just let me know if at least you are getting some type of pictures. For our many thousands of viewers at the moment out there. So, Juan Monroy on an out lap at the moment. Our second place sitter here provisionally, Ryan Schleif. Now, you know, we've got another 23 minutes to run, so got a ways to go in this session here. But Ryan Schleif has the opportunity to lock in this second place on the grid for next week's feature race, and that would be quite a feather in the cap for Ryan Schleif. It's always comfortable knowing that no matter how you happen to end up in that qualifying race, you can still start there right at the top row to start the feature event. So always a nice goal to shoot for, and Ryan Schleif has the opportunity, but I suspect that he will have to do a little bit more, as those times are rather tight there for that second spot at the moment. And that second split time is about 5/10 off pole position, but that may not be so bad. This Z07, or this C7 rather, should be a pretty good performer in this last sector. Didn't look like he got through the bus stop particularly well, but sometimes a little ragged through there can actually be quite fast. And LaSource now, very critical corner to overall lap time. Does not look like he got a particularly good entry into that corner. And coming to the line, will it be some improvement for Ryan Schleif? No. So indeed, losing quite a bit of time just in that last sector. It's going to be... Oh no, actually he did improve a little bit, I think. I have to look, sorry. 22.2, yes indeed, so improved by a tenth or two. And that could prove important. As you can see, the times for that second spot, very tight now. Just a tenth separating Ryan Schleif, Jaime Moore, and Aaron Parsons, and all those guys desperately want that, that second spot, if not, of course, the pole. And none more so than Andres Prieto pushing very hard up a Rouge now, and we've seen him really struggle coming off Stavilo. And the corner name escapes me there. The second corner coming off to Stavilo. Very important corner, of course, to carry speed through there coming up to Blanchimont. But in any event, Andres Prieto getting it wrong there both the times that we happen to be viewing him going through that section of the track. So 21 minutes left to run here. We're going to have a very short warm-up period, and then we'll go right to our 30-minute qualifying race. So it is coming down to it now, and for the guys that have not got their best laps in, as mentioned, that pressure will continue to build just a little bit. Lap after lap until they do hit a lap which at least contents them, if perhaps doesn't completely please them. Here I am just chatting away, completely forgot to look at that first sector split, but in any event, Andres Prieto will carry on, and we'll get a chance to look at what he does coming up through the second split now. Here in just a minute or two, I do want to get you caught up through the field and to find out who is running where at the moment. And once again, takes it very wide, just not quite able to lay off the throttle enough there to avoid popping over that curb. And I tell you, that will cost you some time coming down the straight. And once again, Andres Prieto 6/10 off through that second split. We've seen him exactly about that same time off each and every time coming through there. So he will definitely want to clean up some of those exits, I think, if he plans to advance. Nice entry there for Andres, and a relatively decent exit. He will slot third, so he did manage to pick up some time, did Andres Prieto, but he is going to be just off that Ryan Schleif time just by mere 1/100ths of a second. So Andres Prieto, just a little bit of work to do yet. It is, however, Alex White now resetting that pole time. We saw that, but wanted to get you some of the other action before we got through the field. And Alex White doing a little bit of agricultural racing as he lets some lap traffic by. So Alex White there currently in first, a provisional pole. So by a clear second. I have to think that's the best lap that we have had here at NAGP in our Spa qualifying. Not 100%, but I'm going to call it that way. And, well, if I'm wrong, then there you go. It's not going to be the first time. Ryan Schleif, provisionally second. Andres Prieto in third. We just saw that time. Teammate Jaime Moore has been relegated to fourth. Aaron Parsons now fifth. He was third just a few laps ago, but in fourth at the moment, just starting a hot lap. Jaime Moore back out of the pits. Oh, so somebody must have... No. Oh, got confused a little bit. So Aaron Parsons must have just run through and eclipsed that Jaime Moore time. So it is now Aaron Parsons to the fourth position. Now I'm caught up. Aaron Parsons to fourth. Jaime Moore fifth. David Poole in the pits in sixth. Some work to do for him, but he did better his time from where we saw last. Juan Monroy there in seventh. Jonathan Cuppett currently in eighth, and that is a better time than when we checked on him last. Once again, setting a very fine practice time in the low 17s. Marty Uren in ninth. He has improved a little bit. So has Ian Jolicoeur, Marty's teammate. So both Ferraris running 9th and 10th. Mike Trussler running 11th. That's about where he was last time we checked in. He's coming out of the pits. John Houston is in 12th, and he has improved a bit. So Rodrigo Triana, last time we checked in, he was somewhere around the 13th position, and here he still stands. Currently on an out lap. Felipe Triana is in 14th, and he has moved up dramatically from where we saw him last. Curtis Chandler, however, has slipped just a little bit. So Curtis Chandler in that Ginetta in the 15th position as they run. Connor Swain in 16th. And I have to think Connor Swain is not terribly excited about that time. This McLaren should get around this Spa circuit pretty well. So Connor Swain looking for a little bit more. Chris Moses continues to languish in the 17th spot. Now, during the week of practice, word around the paddock was that Chris Moses felt that he was a bit off the pace, and it looks like that's holding true to form here. So Chris Moses is part of this championship mix, but he's not going to be too big a part of it starting from the 17th position for our qualifying race, let alone our feature event. Teammate Matt Taylor not running particularly strong here either, so you have to wonder if these PMR guys in the BMW have missed the setup a little bit here. So at least in our single lap qualifying, but in any event, both those PMR teammates a bit off the pace, and they do figure into this championship fight. So Gregory Myers now in the 19th position. He has slipped a few spots from last we checked in. Kevin Miller in the 20th position. He has failed to improve. Jared Keane in 21st. And I have to think that Sunred would be a tough ask around this place. You know, I haven't checked in on the temperatures. Looking at 105 degrees on track, 89 degrees ambient. It's not so bad a temperature, really. I shouldn't be having too much trouble running a single lap, or perhaps two on the softs. Sergio Calderon now runs in the 22nd position. Esteban Palacio has moved up just slightly to 23rd. Teammate Mike Monahan now runs 24th. And the Panos boys off the pace a bit. Iggy Shiorda has moved up a couple spots to 25th. Dan Wilkerson has moved back a few spots to 26th. Sam Rolfe is in 27th. Brian Story, Kevin Miller's teammate, runs 28th. Chuck Carter in 29th. And Lou Mascarelli, he's finally come out of the pits. And not on a hot lap, but looks like he did interfere with that BMW behind. Typically want to get out of the way of those hot lappers, but in any event, so that's going to take you through the field here in this session. 30 drivers still circulating around. It is, however, only one of them at the front. That is driver Alex White. We'll check quickly in with that timing and see just where Alex White is at the moment. Still running that 16.2, so 1 second clear of the field. And you have to say that is a pretty impressive time, and one that frankly doesn't seem likely to be beat here in these last 15 minutes of qualifying. I want to reiterate really quickly that we're going to finish up our 45 minutes of single lap qualifying, then put it over to our qualifying race, our 30 minutes of qualifying race, where the rest of the field will drive their way into the event. This is NAGP TV, bringing you the pictures. Regular broadcaster Al Merriman, not on the broadcast tonight, unfortunately, so we will wish him the best. But unfortunately, our broadcast pictures, the quality thereof may take a bit of a hit. So, Alex White now coming up to the second sector split. And we'll keep an eye on him and that time here through the second split. But again, I have to say, I think the battle really is on for second place. And who is going to be able to lock in their position for next week's feature event there from the front row. Oh, takes it very wide coming off of Blanchimont. Probably losing some time out there on the very slick surface to the outside, but only about a 1/10.5 off his best time. I have to think, and I'm going to check here momentarily, but I have to think Alex White really getting his damage done there in the second sector. And getting it a little squirrely there, under braking into La Source, but handling it relatively well on exit. But he will finish well and truly off his time, so some 0.8 of a second back. Lost about 6.5 tenths there in total on that last sector. So Ryan Schleif currently in second on an out lap. It is Andres Prieto also on an out lap, taking it very close to the wall. Teammate Jaime Moore on an out lap. It is Aaron Parsons now provisionally in fifth. He is on a timed lap coming up to the second split. And once again, Aaron Parsons very skilled at this track. Many wins here at Spa, despite a dubious beginning, I guess you could say, early in his NAGP career at Spa. Win a good 4 or 5 or even 6 races, posting very few results, taking quite a few DNFs, quite a few losses of life at Eau Rouge, but that is very much a thing in the past these days. And Aaron, of course, has sewn up more than a couple championships here at Spa for our final event. Now, let's not forget, Aaron Parsons also right in the thick of this championship mix, just 9 points behind Andres Prieto, our championship leader. So Aaron Parsons looking to really do some damage. He is not going to lock in a front grid spot here just yet, I don't feel, on this lap. It's going to take him another attempt or two, but rapidly that's about all he's going to be able to have left, because only about 11 minutes to go in this session, and that is going to be all she wrote. Well, Ryan Schleif didn't feel his lap was going very well. He takes it off. Jaime Moore should be on an out lap by now. He's just about to start one. Aaron Parsons continues his second lap. David Poole currently on an out lap. Juan Monroy as well. So let's keep an eyeball here on Aaron Parsons. We'll get an idea of how he's running through the first split. Ooh, I wanted to look at the sector times, didn't I? So, coming up to that no-name corner now. Very important corner here in the second sector, and for overall lap time in general. Got a bit of a slide coming off there. That will hurt his time a bit coming here into Pujol. And quickly, let's take a look at those sector times. So it is Alex White with a marginal advantage there in Sector 1. But as I suspected, his real damage is being done there in the second sector and third sector. Boy. Yeah, marginal advantage over Ryan Schleif in the second sector, but that's on balance where the chunk of his time is coming from for Alex White. So that Porsche, a very good handler, and he is putting it to very good use there in that second sector. So these guys are going to have to figure that sector out, I think, if they want a chance at pole. But it may come too little too late, as Jaime Moore, some 0.6 off there in the first sector, already smoking that engine. So very low radiator setting. I believe this is his first timed lap on this run. Drivers may be electing to run 2 timed laps or 1. It will be their choice. They certainly will not be running 3 timed laps on the soft tires. But the temperature may be down just enough for them to run two timed laps. Of course, that'll be 3 complete circuits here at Spa, and with the longer track length and slightly elevated temperature, it will be hard to get those softs to last for 3 full rotations of this long circuit. So Jaime Moore was a bit off there in the first sector. Let's not miss any action if we can here from the field. Looks like Jaime Moore is going to be our best bet for now as he comes up to that second split, and he is going to go ahead and give it up. So a little too far off the pace. He wants to get in and get out to make sure he can get 2 more timed laps in, as Aaron Parsons currently on an outlap. It is David Poole now in that 6th spot and looking for, well, he's looking for a good 4 or 5 tenths to have a shot at that second place. Now, that is a pretty big ask, I think, for David Poole, but you got to say Alex White is in similar equipment. He's running the Porsche as well. A slightly different iteration, different tires, a little different motor setup, but nonetheless, also running a bit of success ballast as well, it has to be said. So I think it is 30 kilograms for David Poole for that very fine second place run there at Anderstorp. Oh, gets it very wrong coming through Blanchimont, and 1.6 seconds off the pace is not going to do it for David Poole. So he is going to have to reset, come in. He will have the opportunity to get 2 more timed laps in himself, but he'll finish this lap off. And you know, if you got the time in hand, I like to do this myself. Go ahead, finish off your lap, even if you're off the time. Try a different line, perhaps, coming into the last couple corners. See if there's something that you missed. See if maybe you can make a quick adjustment on something to try to get yourself through a corner a little bit better. So in any event, he'll go ahead and finish the lap off, but there will be no improvement for David Poole. So Chris Moses, this is an important run for him. His last couple runs there in 12th. Second place currently in our points championship, and a big part of Team PMR's hope for that team classification as well. He is going to line up and get ready for his last couple laps. There's somebody smoking out there. Now, technically, we don't like to see those engines smoked here in qualifying. Closing down that radiator, gaining the very small amount of aerodynamic advantage, but ordinarily don't allow that smoking in these qualifying sessions. But nonetheless, somebody is doing that. And it is Ryan Schleif looking to improve on his second sector time, but with the dark and with the smoking engine in front, that is going to be very hazardous, because it is extremely difficult to see. The pictures don't quite show just how difficult it is running behind that smoke to pick up the brake markers. And Ryan Schleif just a couple tenths off, though, through that second sector, and this could be pretty big, because that is a very good second sector time for Ryan Schleif. If he could hold it together and stand up to this, the pressure here, he could find himself running in the 116s as well here late in this period, and that could be big news for Ryan Schleif moving forward. And taking it pretty wide coming through La Source now, that could hurt his time. And to the line now. Will it be a 216? No. I think he will have improved. Yes. No. Yes. Wow. So it is a 216, but he is going to be relegated by Andres Prieto. We missed that lap. But it is now Andres Prieto going to that second spot, and you can see just how close those times are. Ryan Schleif losing out by 6/100ths of a second, rather, to Andres Prieto. Now, can Andres' teammate Jaime Moore, also smoking his engine, answer that challenge thrown down by his teammate? Oh, as he has some contact with a Bentley, either Kevin Miller or Brian Story, and that is going to hurt his chances. 5 minutes left to go. He has a very small no, he's only going to get 1 more timed lap. I don't think there's any possible way he'll be able to get 3, so I think it's going to be just 1 more timed lap for Jaime Moore. Andres Prieto on an out lap. He may have a better opportunity to get 2 timed laps in, but it will be very close. Ryan Schleif now looking to answer. I think that this is the second part of his 2 timed laps. He did not come back into the pits after setting that time in the 116s. So he must have been thinking, oh God, that Andres Prieto probably put up that time as he was coming through the coming to the end of his second sector. So it probably flashed up on his timing and scoring. Still managed to hold on to that lap, but that minor Oh, and he's going to go ahead and give it up, reset. He's going to go out for his one last attempt here and hope that it's going to be enough. But yeah, small mistake there going into La Source, I think really cost Ryan Schleif there for that opportunity to lock in that grid spot for our feature event. Okay, so Aaron Parsons now will be lining up. Well, I don't know. He may be close to getting in 2 timed laps as well, but in any event, he's smoking too, and obviously the guys at this point have kind of thrown caution to the wind as far as any penalties go. In a desperate attempt here to try to lock in their starting grid spot, or at least move themselves ahead on the grid for our qualifying race to follow. And coming here through the second sector, he does have some challenge in this Mercedes. This car probably not going to be as good as the Ryan Schleif Corvette here in the second sector. But Andres Prieto, his Viper shouldn't be good here through the second sector either. And he managed second place on the grid, so you would think that it would all be in front of Aaron Parsons here to have the shot at it. So time quickly winding down, and as it is, real quickly, it will remind you Al Merriman not on the main broadcast pictures here, so quality will be affected a little bit. And it is only yours truly here tonight as Aaron Parsons comes up to that second split and is 3/10 off, so Aaron Parsons actually does have a chance to make some improvement here. Aaron Parsons, very good typically through the third sector, and this car should not let him down very much through here either. I want to look really quickly. Aaron Parsons, a 17.2. Looking perhaps just slightly tentative coming through La Source, but it didn't look like it cost him perhaps too much time, and at the line he is going to... Oh, I think that's close. It is, so Aaron Parsons now has gone to the second place provisionally, and he is done, but he has it in hand. So, second, third, and fourth, all with a 16.9. Andres Prieto still out there. Ryan Schleif still out there. It is up to them to answer now. Ryan Schleif on an out lap. Andres Prieto on a timed lap. This is going to be his last opportunity. And he, no doubt, saw that Aaron Parsons' time flashed up on his telemetry. And regardless of where he ended up coming through that first split, he is going to be pushing like hell here in his final attempt. He is close. He is close. That is a very fine second sector time. Well managed there through the bus stop. I think he's got a real shot here. Very cleanly through La Source, and I think that this is going to be our second place time. And indeed it is. A 16.8 did not get as much as I thought he would. And Ryan Schleif, I think, is going to be our last opportunity here. But yeah, I think he may be able to get that time in. Currently, let's see, Jaime Moore, Andres' teammate out there on track. Yes, he definitely will get this lap in. So he has got a shot. I think it is down to Jaime Moore or Ryan Schleif possibly to be able to improve. Let's see, Juan Monroy. He is pretty far back. He is still in the first sector. Jaime Moore smoking that engine furiously. Race engineers shouting in his ear to change revs. And Jaime Moore 0.6 off in that second sector. I don't think that is... Well, he may improve his time. I don't think he's going to get down into the 16s. Ryan Schleif is behind. We'll check on Ryan Schleif here in just a moment. It is going to be very close to see if Ryan Schleif can get that time in. Jaime Moore, ooh, big mistake there coming through La Source. Don't think that one's going to get it done. No, indeed. So no improvement there for Jaime Moore. Ryan Schleif has pulled it back in, so probably made a mistake coming through Blanchimont, and that is going to do it. So dramatic fashion, as Chuck Carter actually, did he get his last lap in? Oh, I didn't see. So Alex White holds on to the pole, but all the excitement was for that second place, and Andres Prieto came up with it there on his very last attempt, and what an exciting finish for those three guys there in that second place. But no less exciting, really, as we look down the grid here just a little bit. Jaime Moore did a very fine run there in that Sister Viper to Andres Prieto in fifth. David Poole did cap off a pretty nice run for him there in sixth with 30 kilograms of success ballast. And Jonathan Cuppett made a fine run up to eighth. So that's going to be the end of that session. And though it was pretty wild in the end, the results are the results. And Alex White simply put a beat down on the field here, it has to be said. Pretty much did not leave his time in question. And I have to go back through the records. Can't confirm that that is our best ever lap here in qualifying for the GT2 class, but pretty good time nonetheless. So we have it official now. Alex White for next week's feature event will start on the pole position, and Andres Prieto will line up second. Now, pretty big news, well, for both those guys. Alex White, of course, always nice to start from pole. Andres Prieto, however, is our championship leader by a mere 9 points. Or is it 8? Oh, no! Sorry, it's 1 point. Of course, it's only 1 point to Chris Moses. I mean, neck and neck, throw a blanket over him. So important starting position for Andres Prieto. Kind of no matter what happens, Andres Prieto will start in that second spot for next week's feature event. This qualifying race to come will determine the starting order for everybody else in the field for that race next week. So that's our 2-hour event, is our final race, and is the big event here really for this GT2 class. Coming around Spa there for 2 hours in our full endurance event. Always a good time. Okay, so to quickly get you caught up on some of those points battles we were mentioning a little earlier, unfortunately I cannot put that up in the screen in front of you because I'm not set up for any of that. Al Marimon, unfortunately, not able to broadcast here tonight, so it's kind of on me tonight to do the best job I can with your pictures. But to recap shortly, Andres Prieto does lead that Season 25 championship race with 143 points. Chris Moses just sniffing his tailpipe there with 142. We'll recap what happened to Chris Moses in that qualifying period here momentarily. Aaron Parsons sits currently third with 134 points, 9 points off of Andres Prieto. David Poole clocking in with 114, and unfortunately out of the Season 25 championship. So actually pretty rare for David Poole not to have a shot coming into the last event, but that's the way the points shape up, and so it's going to be 3 drivers moving on here for a chance at this, and it doesn't get any more veteran than the likes of Andres Prieto, Chris Moses, and Aaron Parsons. So those guys, it will be a battle royale, not in that feature event, but in this qualifying race coming up just after a short few minutes here after warm-up, and we've seen that many, many times here in the past. But regardless of what may happen in that Drivers' Championship, that is not the end of the story, because there is a team classification on the line as well. So a big classification here at NAGP is that team battle. So prizes awarded for that, and always a nice feather in the cap for that is 05 Motorsports, David Poole and John Luden at the very front of that classification. And interesting, I don't see, John Luden is here, so he must have been one of those who had a disconnect in the qualifying period. Now, he had that happen to him last week at Anderstorp as well, and I tell you, it caused him to become mired in the traffic there at Anderstorp, could not contribute to team points last week, and that really made their lead not as comfortable as they would have liked coming into this event. So Shades of the same nightmare occurring here for 05 Motorsports. But in any event, David Poole and John Luden do lead that classification by a solid 15 points. So, and that, of course, they lead T. Brock Dambam, Aaron Parsons, and John Houston. Now, John Houston as well struggled a little bit in that qualifying period, so it would be a struggle for him to pick up some points tonight, but tied with T. Brock Dambam, Precision Motor Racing, PMR's Chris Moses, and Matt Taylor. So those guys also qualifying a bit further back the grid. Now, an outside shot, Team Columbia Newies here, of course, Andres Prieto and Jaime Moore have qualified very well for this event. And they are still in there with a fighting chance. So it is 4 teams moving forward, 3 drivers. But those classifications are very tight. And though there may not be something like 10 teams involved in the fight, 4, believe me, is plenty. So we have that to go over. Now, I'm sorry, I was going over the points, and meanwhile there were some pictures. At least we could have had you watching somebody run around here instead of just a blank screen with me yapping away. But that happens. Anybody who's happened to view me here single low on the broadcast knows that sometimes I can get stuck. So I do want to recap momentarily as I take you back to that timing screen. Yeah, so Chris Moses there and John Houston. Oh, Ryan Schleif, I think maybe has locked up. Maybe I've locked up. Okay. Okay, am I still live? If I am, I'm not going to be for too much longer. Okay, so still broadcasting, but you know what? I have lost connection to the server, so unfortunately I think that's going to do it for me as well. I'm not going to be able to get out of the server and rejoin. So unfortunately it looks like all we're going to be able to bring you is the broadcast coverage of the 45-minute qualifying event. Hopefully Al can get his settings sorted and we can bring you the pictures of our feature race next week. I really apologize for the technical difficulties here, but it happens sometimes. And really hope you do have the opportunity to tune in next week for the feature race, because they are very good events, a lot of action always to be had in those feature events. So in any event, hope you enjoyed whatever pictures we could bring you tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.